Dr. Cale Varon had been staring at his neutron flux readings for nearly 12 hours straight. Outside the panoramic window of his Mars-orbiting research station, the red planet rolled beneath him in slow, silent majesty. It should have been a quiet night. It wasn't. The station alarms erupted without warning. Red lights flashed across the lab, and a cold, synthetic voice blared. "Unknown vessel detected. Trajectory, intercept course." Cale frowned. False positives weren't unheard of. He leaned toward the monitor, only to see a blinding surge of blue light engulf the entire lab. He didn't even have time to scream. When his vision returned, he was no longer in the station. The floor beneath him was smooth, metallic, and faintly warm. The walls curved in unnatural arcs, rippling faintly like liquid metal. 3 figures stood before him, tall, skeletal, with chalk-white skin and thin, horn-like ridges sweeping back from their brows. Their 4-fingered hands rested on sleek, obsidian weapons. The tallest one stepped forward. "You are Dr. Cale Varon, nuclear physicist." It wasn't a question. Cale's throat was dry. "Yes. You will provide a lecture at the Zerith Grand Academy. Advanced nuclear chain reactions. You will begin tomorrow." Cale tried for sarcasm. "And if I refuse?" The alien's voice was flat, without even the courtesy of menace. "Then you will be dissected. And your planet will be next." Cale barely slept. The next day, he was marched into an auditorium unlike anything he'd imagined. Tier upon tier of alien faces, some with mandibles, some with translucent skin revealing the slow pulse of inner organs. Floating drones hovered above, recording everything. Along the far wall, several beings in dark military armor stood like statues. The topic was displayed on a hovering panel above him: advanced nuclear chain reactions and stability failures. Cale knew the danger. In the wrong hands, this knowledge could crack continents, boil oceans. But the cold, unreadable gazes of the armored guards reminded him that no wasn't an option. He taught. For weeks, under constant surveillance, Cale poured out the most intricate mechanics of fissile material refinement, chain reaction optimization, and containment breach physics. The aliens never asked why Earth's top nuclear expert had been taken. They simply absorbed, recorded, and built. Then came the day when Cale, returning to his quarters, caught a glimpse of an alien engineer's holoscreen. It was no academic exercise. It was a fully operational planet cracker warhead, its design unmistakably based on his own lectures. His stomach turned to ice. Weeks later, the announcement blared across every alien news feed. "The Zerith fleet prepares to bring Earth into compliance." Cale's blood ran cold. He knew what was coming. The Zerith fleet entered Earth's orbit like a black steel curtain blotting out the stars. Hundreds of warships, bristling with weapon ports and glowing antimatter cores, aligned in perfect formation. The first shot was a demonstration. A single planet cracker detonated high above Sydney. The blast didn't just level the city, it erased it, vaporizing every molecule into a glowing plume that rose into the atmosphere like a second sun. 3 hours later, London was gone. Then Mumbai. Then Rio. Zerith broadcasts hijacked Earth's communications. The same message played over every device: surrender or be erased. But Earth did not surrender. Instead, the planet's response was unnervingly calm. Emergency bunkers sealed across every major city. Military uplinks went dark, not destroyed, but deliberately silenced. On the Zerith flagship, this caused unease. Cale watched from his guarded quarters as the Zerith commanders tried to crack Earth's defense networks. For every penetration attempt, a countermeasure snapped back instantly, code rewriting itself mid-attack, rerouting, striking back. The humans weren't just defending. They were learning the attacker's systems in real time. On the third day of the invasion, something new happened. A human face appeared on the Zerith flagship's bridge holodisplay. A woman in a crisp military uniform, eyes like sharpened steel. "We know who taught you," she said. The Zerith Supreme Commander snarled. "Irrelevant. They are primitives." The woman smiled faintly. "Primitives don't let their teachers die in vain," The feed cut. An hour later, the first Zereth battleship vanished, not destroyed in an explosion, but imploded, as if its own core had turned against it. The second followed minutes later. Cale's eyes widened as realization hit. The humans had reverse-engineered a cascade failure into the antimatter cores, an inversion of the very nuclear principles he'd been forced to teach. They had turned his own stolen lectures into a weapon against the thieves. Every alien explosion in orbit was silent in the vacuum, but to Cale, each one was deafening. The Zereth still had numbers, but they were losing ships faster than they could regroup. Every time they tried to adjust their core systems, human code slipped in through corrupted navigation relays or falsified sensor data. It wasn't brute force, it was surgical, deliberate sabotage. And then Earth struck openly. Railguns, satellites hidden in lunar orbit fired tungsten rods the size of city buses at near-relativistic speeds. The impacts didn't detonate. They simply punched through Zereth hulls as if they were made of paper, venting crews into the void. On the flagship, frustration boiled into rage. The Supreme Commander ordered an all-out planetary bombardment. But when the targeting systems lit up, they began locking onto other Zereth ships. Cale smothered a laugh. Humans had hijacked their IFF, identification friend or foe, systems. The fleet's formation shattered. Ships fired on each other, confusion spiraling into chaos. That's when Cale's cell door slid open. A human strike team in matte black armor stood there, weapons ready. "Dr. Varen? Time to go." They moved fast, cutting through the flagship's corridors. Cale caught glimpses of burning consoles, leaking atmosphere, and alien crews sprawled lifeless in the halls. Minutes later, he was aboard a human corvette accelerating away from the flagship. On the main screen, the Zereth Armada tore itself apart, half from human sabotage, half from their own panicked crossfire. In the corvette's war room, Cale was brought before the same woman he'd seen on the Hollow. She nodded to him. "You lit the match. We built the fire." The last stand took place near the Orion Belt. The remaining Zereth ships formed a desperate wall, their antimatter cores pulsing dangerously. They refused to retreat, partly from pride, partly because Earth had destroyed every viable escape gate. The humans didn't rush. Instead, they transmitted a single message across all Zereth channels. "This is the knowledge you stole, now watch it unmake you." Cale sat beside the human commander as the operation unfolded. Trojan signals flooded Zereth systems, overriding their core stabilizers. One by one, the cores went critical. The void bloomed with spheres of white light that quickly winked out, leaving nothing behind. By the end of the day, there were no Zereth ships left. The victory broadcast went out across the galaxy. "We are not your students. We are your reckoning." The message rippled through alien space. Civilizations that had once dismissed humanity as primitive mammals quietly updated their threat assessments. In more than one alien academy, a new chapter was added to their war history texts, the War of Stolen Knowledge. And beneath the title, a single warning. "Never force a human to teach you war. You will not survive the lesson." Cale returned to Earth a free man. His lab was gone, his station destroyed, but he kept a single journal. On the last page, in neat handwriting, he wrote, "They came for knowledge. They left with extinction. If you want, I can make this even more dialogue-driven with extra tactical details so it feels like a blockbuster movie scene by scene. That would make it hit even harder for a video narration. Do you want me to create that expanded cinematic version?" asked ChatGPT.